All right, folks. I told you we are going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back. And boy, did we bring it back. We have the man with the plan. If you don't follow me on LinkedIn, you should. Trying to pump up those numbers. But this is one of my marketing muses. I think he is the smartest, if not the smartest guy out there. I take a lot of my marching orders from him, and just a wonderful human. We've connected on a myriad of occasions, but finally getting him on the pod again. Mike Manheimer, hailing from the beautiful city of Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes.
How you living, brother?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Doing great, excited. Start 2025 off to a good start. So, what better way to ring in the new year than to jump on the pod?
Let's go. Healthy as well. You said you
Yeah,
the 2024 caught up with you a little bit, and you had to not lick your wounds, but rejuvenate, kind of Iron Man style. You had to recharge the core nuclear reactor.
yeah, we were just going hard last year, and I think my immune system took the break too, and was just like, all right, I'm gonna fend off all these nasty illnesses and get them when the holiday break happened. So yeah, I just went through got sick like 5 times in a row over the Christmas holiday, unfortunately. But I'm back, I'm ready, and got a lot to do this year too. So
We're here, baby, and you're looking fabulous in your new glasses as well.
yeah, thank you. These are I follow. I got into over COVID. I got into watches. I think just like everyone else did.
Yeah, yeah.
Bought a couple off of like a guy who was selling on TikTok, and he turned me on to um, JMM sunglasses, Jacques Marie Mage. They're a really cool brand of eyewear. It's very, very bougie, but they're extremely nice. And there just happens to be a store right near my house that sells these things. So um, got a pair, started buying more, and then had to transition from sunglasses to eyeglasses with these. And so I highly recommend it. Don't blame me if you get addicted to them. The price tag is absolutely mental, but they're the best glasses I've ever worn, and so highly recommend checking them out.
Dude, I
They're
love
also on
that.
Shopify too. So there you go.
Hey, there we
There you
go.
go.
Amazing. Also, shout out Phil Jackson. I see you got the visions back there. Let's go. You have such a
Oh
great,
yeah,
great. What books have you been reading? Anything that
yeah.
jumps out?
Okay.
You have
There's one here actually. I just bought it over the break. I was planning to read it, but I got sick and my brain wasn't working right, so I didn't read it. But I'm going to. This one got recommended to me. It's called The Courage to Be Disliked. I haven't read. I haven't read it yet, but I just got it. So this is going to be next for me.
I love it. That's actually we have a company offsite coming up. So we do like a little book club for the executive team and the effective executive, powerful Pete Drucker, doing that one. But the courage to be disliked is 1000% on the list. Do you do any fiction?
Not really.
No.
I should, and sometimes I have intentions to, but I just haven't been able to get into it.
Yeah.
On the funny story about the courage to be disliked, when I got it, I bought it over the break. I was hosting a bunch of family over at my house, for like New Year, for Christmas and stuff. So everyone's milling about. I didn't even think about it, but the book was just like out on the table, and it's really interesting for your family to be walking around and being like, why is Mike reading this book about the courage to be disliked? Like, if you don't have the context of like, like we're business people, we're working on ourselves, we're reading all this stuff, like other
Yes.
regular people who aren't in the startup grind are looking at that book on the table and being like, this guy's an asshole.
This
What the
guy's an
hell?
asshole.
Like, you need a book to learn how to not be disliked. Like, that's crazy. So it was funny. I was getting definitely a lot of side eye from the extended family members when they were looking at that thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I am remiss. I totally jumped the shark. For people that don't know you, Mike, give them the kind of elevator pitch, where you were, where you are, where you're going.
Yeah. Live in Phoenix, Arizona with my wife and our soon to be first child, which I'm very excited about. Yes. Coming this spring. So it's about to be 3 of us out here. I spent my entire career so far in B2B SaaS. I've never done anything else but B2B SaaS. Postscript, where I'm the chief customer officer, is the first company that I've worked at that serves the e-commerce community. So before
Yeah.
Postscript, it was all enterprise SaaS, SMB. I worked in like the prosumer space and like the productivity SaaS space. And so e-com was totally new to me when I joined Postscript, which was just about 4 years ago. And started off as the chief marketing officer and built the marketing and pipeline organization, and recently took on the responsibility of our broader customer org as well as the marketing team. So now running marketing, pipeline, plus renewals, expansion, and ongoing maintenance of our customer base. And so been lots of fun. It's been a great 4-year journey. I love working in ecom. That was like
Yes.
one of my big question marks joining Postscript, was like, am I going to like this? Is it going to make sense to me? But working in ecom, especially selling a marketing tool to marketers as a marketer, it's just so fun, and it's amazing to be able to relate to our customers in a way that feels like totally authentic to me. And so I just
Yes.
really enjoyed the ride so far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, you are, I think, just one of the Mount Rushmores of CMOs. And now, what is it? CCO now? Is that the
Yeah,
acronym?
yeah.
Right?
So
Yeah.
went
CCO.
from chief marketing officer to chief customer officer,
Yeah.
and the through line for that is customers, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I've told you this before, but like I really, really believe that the company that stays closest to their customer is the one that's going to win in their space. And I think that principle applies to how do you think about marketing strategy? How do you think about sales strategy? How do you think about product strategy, customer strategy, et cetera? And
Completely agree.
so it just felt like, I'm already thinking about what's going to make our customers tick all day long with the marketing side. We sell to marketers, which I am one. And so the transition to the customer side just felt really natural. And um, I think maybe in a different scenario where our customers were not marketers, for example, where the whole
Yes.
game wasn't thinking about marketing strategy and how to make it better, maybe it wouldn't have worked. But I think that there's just a unique set of circumstances inside of Postscript with the product we sell and to whom we sell it that made it just feel like a natural fit. And so I'm about 3 months into that now, and it's been great. Love working with our customer facing org, and finding the right balance has been tough between marketing and the
Yeah. It's a
customer
lot.
side. Yeah, and so I'm still working on figuring out like the perfect way to like structure my days and weeks and make sure I'm giving the right attention to the right things. But the teams are really successful. Postscript has a lot of people at Postscript are very long tenured folks, and so there's veteran teams on both sides who
It's beautiful.
know what's going on, and I've worked with them at least either in a management or sort of an executive capacity for like the last 4 years. And so we're trading on a lot of that foundation that makes it a little bit easier too. And so far it's been amazing, and I'm learning a lot, which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cooler parts about it is, candidly, I think you mastered the CMO role, and it sounds like this is kind of the new mountain to go climb while you keep the marketing machine that you've built humming. I do have a question though, because I've been struggling with this of late, where and it sounds like you haven't landed on it yet, but like, how are you thinking about structuring your time, structuring your weeks? Like, how do you do your schedules? What kind of touch bases are you doing with your teams and your direct reports and such? Because I'll give you a little context. Like, I hate meetings, but it's
Mhm.
just once you get into the C suite, it's really hard unless you're Jensen with the leather jacket and a chip that can run the whole traffic of the internet.
And the
It's
multi-billion
challenging.
dollar bank account too.
Yeah, like, it's really challenging to figure out, or for me anyways, it's been really challenging to figure out what levers or how to structure my week, because right now what I do is stack everything on Monday and Tuesday, which isn't horrible, but at the same time, I get to Wednesday, like today, and I feel like I've worked 10 weeks. And it's just
Yeah.
this weird thing where a day of meetings will drain me, but a day of like deep work and building, and I'll work till like 9 p.m. and not even realize it. And so I'm trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to balance that in a more meaningful way, because yeah, I don't know, it just gets tiring. I want to make sure that I'm doing the best work of my life. And sometimes like my nightmare fuel is ending a day super tired, super
Yeah,
drained, but also feeling like I didn't accomplish anything.
totally. Yeah, there's definitely days when I look at my calendar and I'm like, this is a wash. Like, I'm going to do all the stuff that's in front of me, but like, this day's gone. And
Gone.
the stuff in the back of my head that I'm like, I want to do or need to do, that's just going to happen on a different day, not today. And
Yes.
it sucks. It's like you feel like, the inertia of the business is like taking something from you.
Yes.
Um,
Very well
I
said.
I can't, I don't have this totally figured out. I used to be the type of person, and I kind of still am. I'm trying to like break this, but I used to be the type of person who would just say, like, I go where my calendar tells me to go.
Mhm.
And the reason I tended to like that, even though it would end up with lots of one off meetings, is because what I'm trying to get to with that is I want to be working on the most important, urgent business problem at any given time. And
Yes.
people, like when you open your calendar up and you're like, if you like have something that you want to discuss and work on and it's important to you, like grab time with me,
Yes.
usually leads to people bringing you into stuff that's happening right now. And that's where I like to live.
Yes.
But at some point the scope gets too big, and then you're like, well, I can't just have that happen because there's likely 100 little fires everywhere across my business. And some of them, even though they might be urgent to the person who's trying to, manage that particular problem, they can't be urgent to me because
Yes.
I can't do all of this stuff. And so, um, I'm still trying to figure it out. Some of the things that I've done that have helped with it that feel honestly really bad to me is like there are people who I've had biweekly one-on-ones with for the last 4 years who I'm having to be like, I can't do that anymore. Like we're not
Yeah.
talking anymore. And like if you have something you want to, discuss with me directly, obviously you can grab time. But like our structured, biweekly check-ins or weekly check-ins, those are just going to have to like fall off the calendar. And it sucks because especially if you've worked somewhere for a long time, you build these really strong working
Yes.
relationships with people that you don't really want to let go of. And when you cancel the one-on-one, you're not letting go of that person's relationship, but it just doesn't feel good. And
Yeah.
so I'm still figuring out the right calibration, but the stress that you're talking about of feeling like there's this mountain of work and the calendar is just preventing you from getting to it. I feel that all the time. And I am not good about respecting time blocking on my calendar either. So
I try
sometimes
to
I'll be like,
do.
yeah, I'll be like, these, I'm blocking off half a day. I need to do like the deck for the company kickoff. I need to do the strategy presentation for the CS team. And then I need to do, OKRs and reporting for this year. I'm like, I'm going to do all that in from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on this day. And I'll put it on my calendar. When it comes time for that, there's always like something going on. And I will just go do that thing. On our strategic leadership meeting, we were talking about like reflections on last year and does anyone have any intentions for this year? And I was like, I don't know how to say this in like a New Year's resolution type of way, but I'm very cognizant of the fact that present day Mike is screwing over future Mike
Yeah.
in a bunch of different ways,
Yes.
personally and professionally.
Yes.
And like I need to figure out how to make sure that like the today Mike isn't creating more work for future me. And I haven't figured it out yet, but it's something I'm thinking about a lot, like headed into this year and thinking about optimizing everything around me. But yeah, it's a journey. I don't have the answers.
Well, at least that makes me feel a little better because that's what I did. I try and do. I'm working through my calendar audit for this quarter. I try and audit my calendar every quarter because kind of what you said, like recurring meetings will kind of sneak up on you, and then all of a sudden you're like, dude, why are we even having these meetings? And then I did the thing of, okay, cool, I'll stack my Mondays and Tuesdays with meetings, and then I'll keep time blocks in Wednesday and Thursday to do other stuff, but block out my mornings so I can actually work. And then Fridays, I won't take any meetings, and then I'll just only do content strategy, deep work, things like that.
Yeah.
And then that worked for like a week. And then people would like, hey, I need to talk to you. And then I'd start to give up my Fridays. And now I have 2 recurrent meetings on Friday now. And it's just like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's something that it's really fascinating because there is a certain balance that you have to strike, but at the same time, you really want to make sure that you, like you were saying, I only, like my boss Risha was brilliant when he's like, dude, I don't care about all this other stuff. I only want you working on the 10x, the 100x, the
Hmm.
50x kind of priorities, which sounds amazing in theory land. And then you
Yeah.
get you
Yeah.
get to reality, and you're like, "Hey, Rabah, I actually need this case study to get out faster. Hey, Rabah, what's going on with our social strategy? Hey, this," and like, and it also makes you feel a little bit, or at least me, um, not weak. What am I trying to say? Like insufficient, because
Yeah.
I had a great boss at Whole Foods that said, if I have to ask you how something's doing, you're not communicating enough. And
Right.
so when my boss is pinging me about stuff, I'm like, oh shit. And that, like, there's just this, for better or worse, boss's prerogative. It's his or her boat to drive. So like
Yeah.
when they want to move the ship, you have to move it with them. And so I've found myself doing more and strategizing less. And so the reason I say that is it's the same kind of feeling of, I'm putting the strategy on the credit card. I'm not actually paying for it now. And so I'm getting these things done, but then it comes to the, like, so we're on a fiscal year and the end of quarter is going to end in January. And like, I haven't really done any quarterly planning for
Yeah.
Q1. So February to April. And that makes me really stressed out. And then the other thing that happens that I'm trying to get better at, because I just really let my health get away from me, and I'm trying to really prioritize my health. But then you just start working late, and then you start kind of using that same strategy of like, hey, I did this time block, but then I don't respect it, where I'm supposed to go work out in the morning, but then I get up and then I check my phone and then there's something on fire, and then I end up working, and I work through my 7 to 9 a.m. workout instead of actually like doing the workout. So okay, I'm glad I'm just not
Yeah.
uh
There a couple learnings I've had so far too, just that have helped me is there's been a bunch of times where I think I'm doing a bad job for my team because I'm not
yeah,
there to help them. And it's just time has made it so I can't be there. And what's happened, they figure out a way to do great work without
yes,
me. Right. And so
yeah,
a lot of times that feeling of being like, I'm letting someone down, I'm failing, they need me, people are banging on my door, like, hey, can I get, there was a point where the marketing team was like, I just need 4 minutes of your time. Can I get you for 4 minutes? Like I would, that's how scarce my time was. And I felt terrible about it. But that, those 4 minutes used to be like multiple hours a week. Right. And so
yes,
what I was observing is that the team is really strong and they're
yes,
able to do great work, even if I can only give them 4 minutes. That means that
yes,
like they're pretty much autonomous. And so
yes,
I'm having the feeling that I'm failing them. They're having the feeling that they need help, but actually neither of those feelings are true. They're
yes,
totally good to make decisions and run on their own. And I don't need to feel guilty because they know what they're doing. And
yeah.
so I always am trying to think about like the bad feeling that I'm having about it. Is it real? Is it really actually
Really good
impacting their
point.
work? Or is it just like a feeling that I need to let go of? And partly I just observe the results and I'm like, okay, cool. If this isn't really an urgent thing, or like the feeling I'm having is not actually impacting someone's ability to do their job. I think it also creates confidence with the team.
It's
Um,
really well said.
the other thing, I think I have it on my shelf somewhere here. Oh yeah, here we go. Have you read this book? It's by Matt Mockery. It's called The Great CEO Within.
No, I'm getting it
So,
now.
first off, first comment, why, back to what we were talking about before, why does every business book have to have the cringiest title on the planet? It's like I my wife and I were on vacation. I brought this to read. I'm like sitting by the pool with this open,
Just getting profiled.
looking like a complete dumbass. But anyways, Matt Mockery is a CEO coach, and he was like the CEO coach to like every multi-billion-dollar uh, founder CEO over the last decade. This book is like a instruction manual about how to like run your day, and he
Mm,
teaches this method to all of the CEOs. I don't follow it perfectly, but there's some stuff
sure.
in there about like time management and how to think about it, that I actually found really, really helpful. And so, um, not everything in here is worth taking, but there's some good stuff in here. And as you can see, it's a really easy read. Just don't read this in public, or else you're going to get smoked.
Or put it inside like a book.
Yeah,
You
seriously.
have a cooler cover.
Yeah,
Uh,
like a
Throw it
great
inside a
pseudo within.
Sapiens or something. So,
Yeah, when that came from Amazon and my wife opened the package, I just got like one big eye roll, and then she just put it on the table. I was like, it's not what you think. It's not what you
oh
think.
my gosh. Okay, that's a great call out. But yeah, I'm really trying to like my kind of intention for this year was the value that I'm going to generate for Fermat will come through leadership. Because one of the things that I have a challenge with is I just like to build and do, and sometimes you just really need to give up those reins because the you can pay people to do that. You can't pay people to think of the strategy, to think of these really unique initiatives that can then drive the business to make sure that it hits their goals. And that's something that I really have a hard time balancing because I really love to build. And this was candidly one of the things when I was at Triple Whale where AJ sat me down at the very beginning and he's like, "Hey man, you're really crushing it. And if you just want to be a super IC or individual contributor, dude, we'll keep you, no problem.
Yeah,
But I need a CMO and I need you to get out of kind of this IC work." It's kind of like the watered down version of, "Hey Zuck, you need to stop coding" type of thing. And so
yeah,
I'm going to give this a read because that's something that I've always struggled with, and I find that I
yeah,
don't know, I just get so much energy from building and making and strategizing and putting these plans and initiatives together. But then the balance of that is like I have leadership responsibilities that I need to make sure are
yeah,
dealt with, and those are so energy taking from me that I get I, other stuff from my life starts to
yeah,
get put on the credit card, whether it's my health or my relationships with social people and friends and stuff like that. And I think there's definitely a time and place to bite down on the mouthpiece, and you just can't live there. You know what I mean? Like Fire Alarm Friday can't be your whole life.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. I also remember like early in my career, or earlier in my career, I used to like not even understand when people would talk about like, oh, well, like these, I would like put something together, a plan, and they would be like, these are good, but like, what's the strategy? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is like, this is what we're doing, and this is
Yes.
going to work. And I didn't even like, I couldn't understand why this like quote unquote strategy stuff was important. And I realized like the connection between strategy and leadership is really important, because it's like the overarching thing that allows people to act in accordance with the plan when like no one's around. It's like affects the entire
So well
company's
said.
decision making. And eventually when I realized like a really smart person who deeply understands like why we're doing what we're doing and for who, can on their own be a massive lever for the business without me having to be like, I'm going to come up with 5 tactics and we're going to write them down. I'm going to tell you what they
Exactly.
are. Like they can do that on their own if they are deeply connected to the company's strategy and I'm leading them through that. It took me a very, very long
Yeah.
time to eventually realize that that was important. In fact, I probably spent, years of my career actually actively fighting that.
Yes.
And it's like it just took a long time for it to really like make sense to me. But then I realized that, they're the same reason why I joined startups in the first place, which is like I want to know that I'm having an impact. Like
Yes.
the leadership and strategy is the way that you impart the knowledge to folks so that they can go do that for themselves. And
Yes.
if you have a whole company full of owners who understand the strategy deeply and have strong leadership, then like you're going to win. You're
Yeah.
going to be able to move a lot faster. You're going to be able to have a bunch of owners and entrepreneurs inside of the business. And that's really where I think you get like these, startups that, grow at an outsized pace or compounding with new products. It's because of that feeling of like ownership, that founder mentality
Yes.
is everywhere, as opposed to just being like one person tops down being like, okay, cool, here's exactly what we're doing. Everyone's operating with the strategy in their mind. And so it's so important. It took me so long to get there. I just couldn't understand it for many years. But now I think it's probably, not even think probably, it is the highest leverage thing that I
Yes.
could participate in with the rest of our executive team, is making sure that every single person at Postscript knows why we're doing what we're doing and for who,
Yeah.
and why we think it's part of the winning strategy, and that they like not are just hearing it, but like they understand it, like they can
Yep.
say it back to us like with their whole chest. That's
Yes.
the level of understanding. Once everyone has that, you know, then you're off to the races.
Yeah, dude, that's beautifully put. That's beautifully put. So what are you excited about? B2B SaaS. We got Shopify coming down the pike. It sounds like brands did okay this year, but you're super connected. I know a bunch of people as well. I think brands did okay this year, but it sounded like profitability was down a little bit, even though they
Yeah.
did a little bit better on top line. What are you thinking this year? I mean, not to get into politics, but we have a Republican coming into office, which is usually the market usually rips. The Canadian PM just resigned,
Yeah.
which the Canadian dollar is responding in kind and screaming with another kind of more conservative, probably leading the way there with Polivier. So I think the macro side of things is really set up for a banger of a year. But do you have any predictions or any kind of gut feelings on where or how it's going to kind of trickle down into? Because also consumer sentiment is also pretty high right
Yeah.
now, which is really
Yep.
interesting. But on the side of that, you also have credit card debt at its highest it's ever been in the States. So there's these
Yeah.
like kind of confounding macro factors going on here.
Yeah. I see there's like, in my opinion, it's just as likely that things kind of stay the same as they like
Yeah.
potentially get worse. Like it's like a 50-50
Yeah.
situation. And I think people have this sense that things are going to slow down just because we've technically been in a bull market for
For a
what feels
while.
like a really long time. I talked to a guy over the holiday who's in financial markets, and I'll probably butcher this, but he basically said like something along the lines of like, bull markets don't die of old age.
Yeah.
And so I think people have this feeling that like it's been so good for so long that like we're due, but like that's not the
Yes.
way that markets work.
Yes.
And so I think we're probably just going to see more of the same. Like consumer sentiment is going to be where it is. Maybe it'll get a little bit better. I've seen that it's starting to go up a little bit. I don't think it's going to go back to 2021 silliness, but
Exactly.
I think it's going to be stable. And I think what we're going to see in direct to consumer is similar to what we've seen over the last couple of years, and this was reflected in our BFCM data too. Um, it's there's a little bit of a pattern that like looks like income inequality in direct to consumer. It's like some brands who don't have a strong brand, don't have multiple hero products or adjacent products to
Yes.
sell, aren't investing in demand creation in addition to demand or demand capture, are have had a couple of tough years,
Yep.
down 5-10%, stuff like that. And then you had the brands who really are on an upswing, who are investing in all of those things, who are radically expanding their catalog and becoming a staple in the minds of the consumers, who are
Yes.
just having insane results. And
Yes.
so I think what we when we look at the broader Shopify ecosystem, when we say it's been a tough year, when maybe we're down year over year or flat, the details actually show the reason it looks flat in aggregate is because half of the folks are down 10-20% and the other
Yeah.
half are like up 100, and
Yeah.
that's all like, smoothing out. And so I think that's probably what's going to continue to happen
Yeah.
is like the winnings are accruing to a smaller
Yep.
set of brands who have the raw materials to be able to be a potential household name. and other folks are trying to, figure it out. And I think, you've heard a lot of people, like on Nine Operators, for example. Jason always talks about this with Hexclad. He's like, we're doing all this cool shit. Everyone's excited about it. We use all the good vendors. We do all the growth hacks, yada, yada, yada. Like, it's the product. It's like
Yes.
the product rocks. The suite of products is growing. People love them. If you don't start from that, then like using the latest greatest Postscript stuff, using the latest greatest Vermont stuff, like all that's like gonna help. But if it's not on a platform of like you have great product development that people actually want and a growing product catalog and a brand to match, then if you don't have that foundation, like you're not going to be able to like hack your way to having Hexclad like results. And I
Completely agree.
think I think the brands that are focused on that are going to continue to win, and the ones that
Yes.
aren't are struggling. And I expect to see similar sort of trends in 2025.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, the other really exciting thing for up and coming brand owners that are really concentrated on product is it looks like the acquisition windows are starting to open back up. You saw
Mm-hmm.
High Health get purchased for a pretty healthy
Yep.
sum. There's other people out there that, aren't really, not that they're not doing video game numbers, but they weren't blowing the doors off per se. They would just have a
Yeah.
really strong, healthy business, great economics, really, really sticky product. And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. And candidly, I think that's going to be the same thing with B2B is the best products are just going to win. I just firmly believe that the product is the power center for the city that you're trying to build. And if you just have a coal stove, that's going to be really hard to power a city versus if you can build a nuclear reactor, you can have a metropolis built
Totally.
around your product. And for me, and I think maybe we're just kind of two peas in a pod, but everything for me derives from product. And like if the product can't do like for me, brand is the expectation set, and product is what actually meets that expectation. And you just like, I can't think of any brands that are super strong that have a below average product. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Like, not to call people out or anything like that, but I think Jimmy did an incredible job with SendLane. It's just the product could never catch up to the marketing. I think that's okay too to have a delta where the marketing is kind of marketing into the future, but eventually that gap needs to close. And if you don't have that, it's just really challenging because for me, at the end of the day, people that are running businesses are, almost by definition capitalistic. And so if
Yeah.
our
Totally.
products can't help them make more money, they're not going to buy our product because our brand's cool, And so I think that's the
Dude, you are, for Postscript, this is something I think about every second because, there's Klaviyo, right?
yep.
Klaviyo did that. When Klaviyo did SMS, which was a few years ago when they started doing it, there were plenty of people who were like talking to me and the founders of Postscript, and they were like, sorry guys, that's tough. What are you going to do next? And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, like we're growing Postscript. We're doing this thing. And, I posted a thing on X a couple, maybe a month ago or so, where I posted a narrative violation. And then I put all of the companies that had switched from their all-in-one provider to Postscript.
Yeah.
And people were like, wait, like what the hell? And I'm like, there's a bunch of good reasons. Like if someone wants to take a demo with me and go through like the list of reasons why we're better than Attentive or we're better than Klaviyo or better than whatever it is that you're doing for SMS, we can do that. But like at the end of the day, the reason why is like people make more money on Postscript because our product and our service is better. Like that is the reason. Like that's the reason why we're able to build the business that we've been building
Yes.
in the face of what's like obviously a big consolidation cycle. Like I've been in tech for a
Yes.
long time. I've seen these best of breed to consolidation and back to best of breed and back to consolidation cycles a lot. We're obviously in a consolidation cycle. I get it. But like Postscript has 20,000 paying customers now. And so it's like, how? It's because of these merchants have very discerning taste. They're high scrutiny people. If
Yes.
it doesn't actually perform better, actually make them more money, they don't actually get strategically better results, they don't stay on the stuff.
Yes.
And so we talk about that all the time. It's like, not getting distracted and focusing on the core thing
That's
that
exactly
we know fuels the engine, which like for us is like we build products that help merchants make more money with
Yes.
their SMS investment. If we
Yes.
do that, if we put our heads down and just grind on that forever, like we're going to be fine. And I think
Completely agree with
that
you.
also means resisting the urge to do all of the adjacent, flashy, sexy things. Like if you can't back it up with the product actually does what you say it's going to do, guess what? The clock's ticking. People are going to find out.
That's
And when they find out, there's a billion other options. So like you
that.
can't do that, and I think unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side you're on, there are some folks in especially in ecom SaaS who are figuring that out.
Yeah.
And I always tell, my sales team, of course, is like always like, hey, I saw so and so said they're doing this and so so's doing this. And it's all just like
It's
coming to
always
me. And I'm like, guys, we got a plan. We know what our plan is. We've been at this for a while. Like, don't worry. Like once the dust settles, everyone in our space is going to know what works really well for
Yes.
what channels and for whom.
Yes.
And so we're compounding our differentiation in the market. That means that we're not for everyone. That's totally fine. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, if all you think about with SMS is that it's just pipes and that's the only thing that matters, then cool. Like we have good pipes and so do a bunch of other people. If you want to
Yes.
try to drive outsized results in these ways and you want to like explore conversational use cases and all sorts of other things, like then, we can go seek alpha with Postscript. But like we have to keep our head down and just keep executing against that mission because that mission drives good product and that's what wins. And I think
Exactly right.
it's easy in this world of ecom SaaS and we're all marketers and we're in this ecosystem to forget when you're on this side of the fence. Like
Yes.
we build software. Like we use code to build a piece of software that drives value to our merchants, or they churn
It's
and they go
exactly
find
right.
some other solution.
It's
That's
exactly
like
right.
that's the game. And so I think yeah, I mean, I'm on my soapbox right now, but like, yeah, it all comes down to product. Like you can't hide in software. Like it's all too
So well said.
portable. It's too easy for people to go find something else. If you don't deliver, they're on to the next thing. And that's a high bar to meet, but for software providers who meet that bar, you can accrue lots of winnings. I think like, I was just talking about how I don't think Klaviyo is a great solution for 8 and 9 figure brands who are doing SMS. But if you flip it and look at what they've done on the ESP side, there's a great example of that. They've
Exactly right.
compounded, making it super easy for people to get in and deliver emails to their subscribers in a way that's like simple and effective. And they've compounded that over and over and over time in time. And that's why I think Klaviyo, has a $11 billion market cap right now.
Yeah.
They're
The
they're
stock's
they're
actually ripping.
ripping. So they are the ESP for ecom, and they've the reason they have that title is because they've compounded
Yes.
product advantages on email for a
Yes.
very, very long time. And that's what we're trying to do on the SMS side. That's what I think lots of folks in ecom SaaS have been trying to do for a long time. And I guess maybe here's another prediction. I'll come up with the 2025 prediction. I think that a lot of people in 2025 will realize that software providers who are putting every little thing they can into one piece of software, that they'll realize that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. The rewards they
Yes.
thought they were going to get for that are actually going to manifest as lower performance, wasted spend, and watered down strategy. And I think people will realize that like that's a pursuing that is a path to nowhere good. And I expect that we'll over the next few years see a transition to best in class providers, not because it's good to have a bunch of different SaaS tools. I understand there's some maintenance with that. Mostly because I think because of AI and a bunch of other factors, people just want good outcomes, and they will go
Yes.
wherever they can
Yes.
guarantee that the outcomes are going to be solid. And I think folks who are specialized in particular metrics or particular channels are going to be the people who can reliably drive the outcomes that merchants want. And that compounded with good product, I think, is the thing that's gonna win.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the AI craze took a lot of really great companies' eyes off the things that they were actually great at. And it was
Yeah,
shiny object syndrome, which again is
totally.
really hard to deny, especially if you have shareholders or people that are like, hey, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? And you're like, no, guys, we have to stay the course. And candidly, from the B2B side, dude, I completely agree with you because like we live in HubSpot and Salesforce. And
Yep.
HubSpot is the perfect example of it does nothing well, but everything's in
Yeah.
one house. And like
Yeah.
we're literally disambiguating everything. So we're switching our newsletter to Beehive. I'm
Yeah.
looking at a company called Default. I'm basically just disambiguating everything because like our source of truth is Salesforce. And so we
Totally.
need that. That's what sales uses. Okay, cool. I have no input on that. It's fine. I really am ambiguous to what we use, but I pay a boatload of money to HubSpot. And so
Yeah.
it's like, if I can't get these things done in a way that's going to make the business impact for me, I'm going to go find the providers that, like, Beehive is a credible example of like, that's where you should build a newsletter, not on HubSpot. And
Totally.
like, I was just using HubSpot because, oh, our contacts are in there, blah, blah, blah. So I know I couldn't endorse that sentiment more. And I think it's the old line, you make money either bundling or unbundling. And I think
Yeah. Yeah.
you're right. We hit this consolidation cycle, but then everybody's realizing like, oh my gosh, like, these tools aren't that good in the all-in-one house, which is it's a fair value prop. But at the same time, if the all-in-one house and I'm losing all this accretive value in all of these little places, it starts to become like, why am I living here? Because the other thing is the all-in-one house isn't cheap. So it's like,
No.
man, I want to let me just get a cadre of specialists versus having one generalist. And I couldn't agree with you more, man. I think that that's going to happen. And and honestly, the kind of through line to all this is product, and it's
Yeah.
impossible to be everything to everyone. Like it's just
Right.
that's a fallacy. And so when you have a really specific niche, I can drive harder and deeper into this because my strategy is to be the best SMS provider on the planet.
Yep.
Boom, full stop. Klaviyo's strategy is not that.
No.
You know what I mean? Klaviyo's strategy is, hey, we got to make sure this ESP keeps the lights on and puts food on the table, and then we can play around in these other places. But we can't, like, we're not going to switch our whole product to becoming the best SMS provider. And that's where I think a lot of people get caught up. Where I mean, when Google Forms came out, they're like, oh my God, see you later, Typeform. Typeform's literally just an HTML wrapper and it's over $1 billion valuation. You're like, so
Yeah.
I think these people are just in the weeds too much, where you're just like, man, when you can make a product do really well and you can accomplish the thing to match the expectations and the economics of the business, dude, it's really hard to beat. And I think that again, it's interesting. There's definitely a time and place. Like HubSpot again is doing really well. You can argue Salesforce is the same thing, this all-in-one house thing. But I think it's going to be interesting because I am with you. I'm a big product maxi, and as you start going through these things, it is just not super value generative. And I think those all-in-one house people work really well when the user and the decision maker are very far apart. But as
Hmm.
the user and the decision maker come together, the decision maker and the user, once they're the same person, they want the best thing. They don't want convenience. And I think that's going to be
Yeah.
what's going to ripple through the SaaS market, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, it's all outcomes, right? Product drives an outcome or it doesn't. And like the HubSpot versus Beehive thing is a perfect example, right? Like, can you do a newsletter on HubSpot? Sure. If you want to grow your newsletter massively and have best in class features that drive viral growth of the newsletter and all of the stuff that makes newsletter businesses work well, like that outcome is significantly more likely to happen with a newsletter on Beehive than it is on HubSpot. And so you have a choice, like is it okay to just be like, okay, or are you trying to like make something happen? If you want to make something happen, you go to the people who have the specialization to drive the outcome. And
So well said.
I think that's that's the way that things are going. And I think, you know, the AI movement of paying for an outcome as opposed to just paying for access is going to make it so people are starting to think about like, I don't care if I'm saving like one click because I log in one place. I want to make sure that like, you know, my creative testing, my landing page optimization, my SMS stuff, my email stuff, my on-site, post purchase, my reviews, all the different things that you need to do, like those are all meant to like drive some sort of monetary outcome for your
Yes.
business. And I think people are going to start to ask a lot more from their software suite, or all the tools that they use, about driving particular outcomes at a very, very high level. And it's much more difficult to do that when you're trying to, build every little thing under the sun than to focus on, partnering with specialists and experts who can, guarantee that you're going to be performing on a particular channel at the, in the 95th percentile at the top of your space. And so, yeah, I just think outcomes are going to drive all of the future software decision making.
I don't want my PCP doing my heart surgery. I don't want my primary care physician cut me open, bro.
Yeah.
God, this is so fun, man. I love you so much. Okay, one last question, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
What is your equation of excellence? What do you think excellence is a function of?
Oh man, I think is it for me personally, like where I give my most excellent results is a combo of curiosity. Curiosity is a really, really big thing for me.
Completely agree.
I care so much about that. And like when I'm like hiring my team, for example, like one of the number one things I'm trying to figure out is like, how naturally curious is this person?
Yes.
And I think like a natural curiosity paired with like time on problem.
Yes.
The combo of those two things for me is like where I can get excellence from. Because it's like, it's not just about like mastering the thing that's on the field, which can come from time on the problem. But I think the curiosity factor is also like, okay, we have mastery, but how can this be better?
Yes.
And those things compound each other, and I think create really, really great work and hopefully, excellent outcomes. So those are the things that would pop up to me if I was going to say, where does excellence come from for me? Curiosity plus time on problem usually equals great outcomes.
That's beautiful. This is one of my favorite pods. This is we're getting all the good stuff out on Jan 8th. Unbelievable. Mike, how can people get more involved with you? How can they sign up for Postscript? This time's yours, my friend.
Yeah, postscript.io. You can request a demo if you want to see what the SMS platform's all about. If you want to make as much money on the channel as you can, we'd love to show you what we can do. Me personally, find me on X at Mike Manheimer on LinkedIn, and also, at a e-commerce event near you. We're always all over the map, and we'll be all over the place this year. So if you see a Postscript logo somewhere, just start calling out, "Hey, is Mike here?" And I'll show up somewhere. If you're in person. So yeah.
I love it. This is incredible, Mike. Thank you so much. Are you coming to NRF or no?
I'm not going to be at NRF, but some of our team will be there.
Yeah, we're doing a dinner with you guys.
Yeah. We'll be at we'll be doing Shop Talk. We'll be at the Grove. We'll be all over the place.
Amazing.
I think like last year we did 55 in-person events last year, so more than one a week. And I think we're like doubling that this year. So I will be in a city near you.
Whew, spicy. Amazing. Go sign up for Postscript, the best SMS platform in my opinion. And your guys' service is absolutely unmatched. I am blown away by some of your, what do you call them? Sales engineers, growth managers, whoever. They are first rate, absolutely first rate. All right, folks, that's all we got. Go to firmoutcommerce.com to sign up for Fermat, or if you just want the best D2C newsletter out there, you can also sign up, called The Geometry of Growth, curated by the indomitable Alexa Kilroy. It goes out every week. It is awesome. And Mike, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for being flexible with the schedule. And this was amazing, man. I got so much out of this. I'm actually going to re-listen to this, and thank you for the book recommendation.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on. I'd love to come back anytime.
Amazing. All right, folks, that's all we got for you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.